Good afternoon, everyone. Yeah, so today we'll be talking about documentation, specifically Web3 documentation, the best practices. So, few minutes so we can get the slide ready. Okay, yep. All right, so before I go for that, so I want to talk about little things that I do. So I have a technical writing mentorship program. If you want to go into technical writing, you want to know how to build API docs and more, you can follow us on Twitter, Technical Writing Mentorship Program. And it's an open source community, so it's free. You're not going to pay any money at all. So it's totally free. All right, next slide, please. So today, I know most of us have been trying to go through other Web3 documentation. So I would be giving us tips, telling us little things, those little important stuff that are not on docs that you should take note of. So as a Web3 developer or as a startup person or investor that want to put on money on any Web3 startup, you need to take note of those stuff on documentations because most people don't take it serious because they feel documentation is not a product, but it is. You need to spend more time on that because your developers look out for that stuff. For example, I want to know how to work with a particular protocol. I want to know how they do their mainnet or testnet, how to implement on that stuff. And if the docs is not good, trust me, you've lost a user, you've lost a customer. And if you lose one customer, I know the business guys are here. If you lose one customer, you've lost like 10,000. Because if I go to the docs and I see that the docs is not good, I will definitely tell the other people, hey, don't try this. If you go, you're going to face this problem. And they will keep passing that on. And at the end of the day, you have very few persons coming to your docs. So can I show this slide? Okay, next. Yeah, next one. Oh, sorry. Okay, so let's talk about the challenges when it comes to Web3 documentation, which is quite different from Web2 documentation. So one of them is diverse technical audience. So we have the educational gap and we have the stakeholders needs. So you go to some Web2 documentations and you see, normally when you get there, you know the doc should have several categories, several areas that would accompany or several areas that would accommodate this different audience. As a developer, I know I want to know how to install your stuff. I want to know more about your testnet, your Explorer, and more. And when your docs doesn't have that, it's a problem for me. That's why I see some people go to documentations, and what they will have to do is they will start using forums, Stack Overflows, and more when you have your documentation. So if I don't have that patience, you've lost me already. And some of them don't have those tutorials that will help you learn, which is the educational gap. And having those stakeholders, maybe investors, you have developers, you have cryptographers and more. So if you have those areas that accommodate them, you would retain those users. So the next one is rapid evolving technology. So you all know how blockchain is moving so fast. You're learning this one, the next morning you're hearing about ZK rollup, the next day you're hearing about bridge, the next day you're hearing about a different new layer 2 that comes up, the next day is meme coin, the next thing is airdrop. Now, when all these things are coming up, what you have in your mind is who will be writing all those things? Now, how fast will that person try to cover up all those things? So if I'm writing about MemeCoin about for my company, the next thing is while I'm doing that stuff, they said, okay, there is the bridge is now the popular stuff to move stuff from here to here. So we want to build our bridge. Developers have built it, start writing it. You're writing it, they say, oh, MemeCoin is now the main stuff. Okay, we've built our own MemeCoin. The next thing is airdrop. So that's why you see sometimes, you see sometimes you will see a product or a software or something is way ahead than that documentation. So you're using the product, you're seeing some stuff, but when you go to the documentation, you're not seeing those stuff there. So the next thing is maintaining accuracy and relevance. So which is the constant update I talked about. So the content update is just too much. And because of that, you don't really see, like I said earlier on, the product will be way ahead than the documentation. So that update is way too much. So copying that will help that a lot. So you have security implication, sorry. So some documentations, you see because of the rapid changes and more, some technical writers or documentation engineers would miss out on the point of making sure they note out those stuff. They make some mistakes when they push in out those stuff. So for example, maybe they say you need to run a command before you build or before you deploy to add the security, and the technical writer misses that point. So which means if you deploy that particular DApp is vulnerable, anybody can easily, hack that stuff. So they need to pay so much attention to that. So you have visibility and accessibility, which is technical jargon. I know most of us here know about WAGMI. So when you go, you see WAGMI. I know there are different terms they use on blockchain. So as a first-time user, if you go to a docs and you're seeing WAGMI and there is no description about what that means, you get confused. And one thing I tell my students is, if you build a documentation that someone will use Google side by side with that docs, you need to do a lot of work. Because I'm looking at your docs, but I'm using Google. WAGMI, I will go to Google, WAGMI. If I go, I will see the other acronym, I will go to Google and start. And with Google, it can give you a WAGMI of something else. And you're confusing the person the more. So try to break down those technical jargons. Make sure you add the description next to them. Then you have user presentation. So we are talking more on images and visuals. So images are very, very important. Taking screenshots. For example, you want to write a user guide. It's very important for you to take screenshots, label it, so it's easier for me. If you want to use WhatsApp right now and you're just seeing an article about how to use WhatsApp without no image, you get confused. But when you see an image with some directions, if you click here, this means this means that, it will be much easier for you to follow. So the key principles, I will just run that through. So you have clarity, like I said, remove the technical jargons, make it clear, don't write. Normally when you talk too much, you won't even know when you're saying rubbish. So just try to be fast, make it concise, don't make it too big. Something that is, let's say, mainnet for production, testnet, for testing. Don't start writing long story. Just 1-2 sentences, users will understand that. So consistency, that is where we talk about the style guide, which is writing style guide. So we have different writing style guide for different things. So we have writing style guides for technical articles. We have one like the Apple style guide. We have Mary something style guide. We have Google writing style guide. We have Microsoft writing style guide, and we have Red Hat. So these 3 writing style guides are mainly for technical articles. And that consistency, what I mean is, if you go to an article, maybe you're reading, you see the date, they use date with slash. You go to the next place, you're seeing date with dash. You go to the other section of the page, you're seeing date with bracket or something. That inconsistency is not good. So if you're using slash, use slash all through. If you're bolding your important terms, make sure you bold them. If you're starting a sentence with a capital letter, make sure you also do that everywhere. So we have the continuous improvement. So make sure you talk with your developers, talk with the community, so they give you updates. You update your documentation, and then this will help you make sure that your documentation is not far away from the product. So your product is on same level as your documentation. So scalability. So there are docs that they will build a doc. Normally, most Web3 companies, they use Gitbook to build their docs. So when they use Gitbook and when they've grown a bit big, they will change Gitbook and they will use maybe Dockersaurus or something and maybe style it up and make it look much, much better. So with such documentation, you will get scared because I know this is Gitbook. When you move to the next docs, you're seeing something different. And that will make you probably, maybe if you're not on their Discord, you want to join their Discord or something, or email them to, I want to be sure that this website that I'm in is the docs is the actual one, because the one I'm seeing before looks so different from this. So use a docs that you can easily scale, have a look and feel. Even if you decide to move to a different platform, you have that same look and feel. So users, more like an identity. So users know that, okay, this is your product, this is your docs, even if you use a different SSG for that. So visuals, I've talked about that. Community involvement is very important. Always give community give them the chance to always review your docs, give you updates. Always be open to listen in documentation. So users will say, I was trying to install this and I couldn't do that because of the step. Don't joke with that information. Always make sure you work with that. So you have structuring content. So first one is the journey approach. Let me use JavaScript, for example. So if you want to learn JavaScript, most JavaScript tutorials, you see they have a straightforward journey. Make it simple, start from the simple part, and when you get to the last part, that is where you see a more advanced one. For example, the first you see maybe overview or maybe introduction. The next one you're seeing is maybe installation or setup, maybe how to set up and run that stuff. Next one you're seeing is maybe a comment. And the other one, okay, sorry, probably you always see hello world. Okay, you know what this means. You've set it up or installed it. Now let us do hello world just to welcome you, so you know it's simple. Then afterwards, you'll see maybe your comments, your variables, and as it keeps going down, it's more advanced. So don't start with the advanced stuff. Carry the simple ones down, because users always start from that side. So make sure you follow that journey in your documentation. So clear navigation between levels. So make it very easy. Anywhere I find myself in the docs, I can go to home, I can go back. Majorly, I'll use like, is it breadcrumbs or breadcrumbs, they call it, that will give you that journey. So, sometimes you go to a docs and maybe you close your laptop or off your laptop. The next day you open it and you would see, you won't even know where you are, but you know you're there. Now, how did I get to this place? Yeah, I want to know how I get to this place. Is difficult for you. But if you add that breadcrumbs, I will know the journey. I came from this page to this page to that page, and I can also see get back. There is a search for me to search for something. There is the home button and the back button. These navigation stuff are very important.
Wow. Amazing. That's very, very important. Thank you.
Okay, all right, yeah. Thank you. So let me push.
If you have question, we can take just one question for
So you can
Wisdom.
follow me on Twitter and also on LinkedIn. Thank you.
Please follow Wisdom on Twitter. If you have a question, we can take just one question for Wisdom.
So I also have my book, and I have my community shirt to give out to one person. I don't know if I brought it here or something.
Okay. Thank you so much, Wisdom.